54% are A.C.o.d, adult children of divorce.
You have both turned a 9-year marriage into a 100-year war.
Please tell me you are not your father's son.
If I ever see that woman, I'm gonna kick her in the balls.
Your dad, he has a new wife.
Wife number 3.
Bring me my babies.
I guess I'm just looking for someone to talk to.
But I'm not a therapist.
Welcome to What the Flip. My name is Christy. This is Alonso. This is Ben. We're going to talk about A.C.o.d, which stands for Adult Children of Divorce. Ben's going to describe it? Since you aren't A.C.o.d?
He might as well.
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
You want to describe it, please?
Yeah, Adult Children of Divorce, which I guess, I don't know whether that's a thing. It's funny, A.C.o.d.
Well, there's A.C.o.A.
What's that?
Adult Children of Alcoholics.
Oh,
and there's
I'm one of those.
And there's C.O.D. Anyway, this is from first-time director, writer, Stuart Zeicherman.
Zeicherman?
Yeah, and Ben Carlin co-wrote it with him, and Ben Carlin has a resume and a half. He's a co-creator of the Colbert Report, also a writer for The Daily Show, writer for Modern Family. He's got like 20 Emmys.
9 Emmys and 2 Peabodys.
9 Emmys and 2 Peabodys.
Yeah.
And yet.
Well, I don't think there's really any. Yeah, I think and yet this is a flawed movie, but ultimately funny. Anyway, the idea is that Adam Scott is an adult child of divorce, and his parents hate each other. They haven't spoken in 20 years. He has a younger brother who's getting married, and therefore he has to try to delicately bring his parents back together for the wedding of his younger brother. But it does not go as planned.
I saw you as part of the study of the effects of divorce on children.
Oh.
I wrote a book about it. Relax. She didn't use your real name. You're like Robert or something.
It's Rick.
There's no current research about people like you.
People like me?
A.C.o.Ds, adult children of divorce. Do you realize you are the least parented generation ever?
I thought this was funny, and so I'm not surprised to learn afterwards how enormously talented the writers are. You know, as I said, you know, they got Modern Family credits and The Daily Show. That, like, I thought it was extremely funny, and then I thought it sort of lost its way in the back half. It was never great because it was never about anything great.
And there's never anything at stake, you know? Right. There's that whole, what does the protagonist want thing. There's not a lot going on that you really care one way or the other that is going to get accomplished or not. So it just kind of becomes this series of gags, and some of them are funny. I did laugh a few times, but a lot of them don't really land, and the characters aren't particularly consistent, so you don't know how you're supposed to feel about them or what if you want what they want or not. And I found it really irritating, even though there's an amazing cast in this film.
I mean, Adam Scott, though, is pretty great at the center of it. And if you're a fan of Adam Scott and have liked him in supporting stuff for a long time, and this is his first really big lead, I would say.
He's great. And if it weren't for him, the movie would be much less bearable. Because that character as written is the worst. I mean, he is such a whiny sack of self-pity, you know. Yeah. And yeah, it's a testament to how charming and funny Adam Scott is that you don't just leave the theater in the first 10 minutes.
That character, we probably needed to see a little bit, or maybe it just, I don't know, I got a little more of the, a little more depth of him. Like,
I didn't hate him.
I didn't hate him. I mean, he is whiny, and there's an enormous amount of self-pity there. But clearly he has looked out for his kid brother for his entire life. He's like assumed a parental role to that. He's clearly in a good relationship with his girlfriend that we only see completely crumble at the moment that he has to bring his parents back together. His parents are sort of, I thought, you know, caricatures.
Yes.
But made bearable by the fact that they got 2 great actors to play these characters.
It helped, definitely, yeah.
Richard Jenkins and
Catherine O'Hara.
I like Richard Jenkins being a bad guy. I enjoy when he is kind of mean, and he gets these like deadpan, horrible, selfish things to say.
Yeah, no, he's a funny prick. I mean, he knows how to play that stuff. I mean, you know, I got no beef with how this movie was cast, and I think that there are, you know, I think I said in my review, it's the kind of movie you watch on a plane and you laugh a few times and then you forget you ever saw it. You know, like there are some laughs in it. There are some funny setups. There's some great, you know, one-liners and dialogue. But for example, okay, so Jane Lynch plays this woman who Adam Scott sort of poured all of his problems out to as a teenager, assuming that she was a therapist, and then turning out, oh no, she's actually a researcher, and that she wrote a book about children of divorce that he plays a principal part of, you know, and that became a bestseller, which is a funny idea they don't really ever quite do a lot with. But the movie can't decide if she is an opportunist or the voice of reason.
Why can't she be both?
Yeah, that's right. I think she was sort of both. Like, she was definitely an opportunist, but she's not bad at her job. Like, she did sort of care about him also. And
she might mean well.
She means well. Yeah, she's probably correct in her assessments of the adult children of divorce.
True, but but the way it's presented is like there's times where we're supposed to think she's the only person giving him any advice that's of any use, and then also at the same time that she's sort of ruthlessly exploiting him. And it just, to me, those two things you could be doing both, but it felt like the movie was pillaring her on one hand and sort of championing her on the other, and couldn't make up its own mind about how it felt about her.
Yeah, I think it did. I agree. I just did that somehow worked well for me. I liked that because at the beginning, in those first 3 or 4 minutes where you meet her, you think that she's some sort of hippie fraud. You know, when she reveals that she's not a real. There's a wonderful line in there when he says, you know, I need to talk to somebody. She says, oh, I'll recommend somebody. He's like, I thought you were there. But then we learned, like, and then there's a payoff at the end when we see her at the end of the movie, sort of in a completely different light. I don't know.
One of the movie's best gags involves the evolution of her wardrobe.
I was about to mention that exact same thing. She gets like glossier and better looking as the film goes on. Yes.
Right, because that's the two parts of her that you know, because now she needed to sell herself, and so now she needed to look good. Right.
This to me feels like this premiered at Sundance, and this feels like the kind of movie that plays at Sundance, where it's got a lot of the sort of young, hip comic people in it, and it doesn't quite pay off the way that you want it to.
Although I like stay for the credits. If you guys go see this, do go see this. During the credits, it's like a whole different kind of little documentary where the director
the crew
interviewed the crew, and they're all like, my parents got divorced at age 9, I've been married for 31 years or whatever, and like each of them and how they now look at marriage, whether they want to be married or whether they are now divorced themselves. It's like a whole neat little mini documentary at the end of this film. So I like that part too.
Very quickly, just personally, I think it has some, like, there was some resonance for me.
Yes?
There were moments where I thought, you know, I mean, again, this is incredibly simplistic, and I didn't need a movie to tell me that at some point, like, you gotta stand up on your own, that you can't let the fact that your parents disappointed you enormously, not just in getting divorced, that's fine, but in post-divorce behavior. You know, so I was like, I sort of was thinking, I wish I were in a book that I could read about now, about how
Nobody wrote that book.
My parents split up
right?
when I was 17, and it's, you know, as I want the sequel, the subsection sequel of adult parents of adult children of parents divorced when the kids were older. Okay. Yeah, that's a big thing. It's a thing.
Okay,
an acronym someplace.
Right, yeah.
Right.
A.C.o.d. Anyway, there were moments that I was moved a little, and I just thought it was funny enough. But I agree with you overall that, like, it's, despite the fact that I'm going to give it a much higher score than you did, I still felt like not quite. Chance for real sort of hit it out of the park. Small movie greatness that didn't do it.
Yeah, this is one of those movies I kind of feel like a couple more drafts of the script, they might have, you know, built it into something.
And like, real quick, Jessica Alba, why is she in
there?
Yeah. She's beautiful.
Pops up for 2 scenes, never heard from again.
Is she the red herring, like, oh, he might date her now? Anyway,
yeah,
whatever.
nothing.
So numbers, please, Alonso.
Sorry, 4.
6.6.
I give it a 6, so our average is a 5.5. It is at 56% on the tomato meter. So when you're on an airplane next time and it's playing, you will not be bored. Bye.